Imagine you're 68 years old. The kids moved out years ago. The house that once felt full of life now has empty bedrooms, a quiet dining room, and hallways that barely get used anymore. Financial experts keep telling you the same thing. Sell the house. Move somewhere smaller. Reduce your expenses. Free up cash. Enjoy retirement. On paper, it sounds like a perfect plan. But here's something surprising. Millions of retirees refuse to do it. In fact, many retirees would rather cut back on vacations, delay major purchases, and even dip into savings than sell the family home. Why? What do they know that financial experts don't? And are they making a costly mistake, or protecting something far more valuable than money? Today we're uncovering the real reasons why so many retirees refuse to downsize, even when it seems like the smartest financial move possible. And make sure you stay until the end because one of the biggest reasons has almost nothing to do with money at all. In fact, it may completely change how you think about retirement. Let's begin. Most retirement advice starts with a simple calculation. Big house. High utility bills. Higher maintenance. Property taxes. Insurance. Repairs. Lawn care. Cleaning. The logic sounds obvious. Sell the large house. Move into something smaller. Keep more money in your pocket. And for some retirees, that absolutely works. But here's where things get interesting. Retirement isn't just a math problem. It's a life problem. And that's where many financial calculators fail. Because they can measure dollars. But they can't measure memories. Think about it. That house isn't just wood, bricks, and drywall. It's where your children took their first steps. It's where birthday candles were blown out. It's where family dinners happened every Sunday. It's where holiday traditions were created. It's where laughter echoed through the hallways for decades. Every room tells a story. Every corner holds a memory. To an outsider, it may look like an oversized house. To the retiree living there, it feels like an entire lifetime. And giving that up is far harder than most people realize. Researchers who study retirement consistently find that emotional attachment plays a major role in housing decisions later in life. Many older adults prefer to remain in familiar surroundings because their homes provide a sense of identity, comfort, and emotional security. Most adults also prefer to age in place whenever possible. Now, some people watching might be thinking, memories are nice, but money is money. And that's fair. But before you assume retirees are acting irrationally, wait until you hear what happens when many people actually try to downsize. Because the financial reality isn't always what people expect. Let's imagine a retired couple sells their home. They see the sale price and get excited. Maybe they'll pocket hundreds of thousands of dollars. Maybe they'll dramatically lower their monthly expenses. Maybe retirement will suddenly become easier. Then reality arrives. Realtor commissions. Closing costs. Moving expenses. Storage costs. Repairs needed before selling. New furniture. Unexpected upgrades in the new home. And suddenly the huge financial win starts looking much smaller. Many retirees discover that downsizing doesn't save nearly as much money as they originally imagined. And in today's housing market, some retirees are actually finding that staying where they are makes more financial sense than moving. Housing experts increasingly point out that downsizing is not automatically the cheaper option, especially when new housing costs, taxes, or community fees are taken into account. But that's still not the biggest reason retirees refuse to move. Not even close. Because the next reason has nothing to do with the house itself. It has everything to do with what surrounds it. Think about your own neighborhood. You know the people. You know the streets. You know which grocery store has the friendliest staff. You know the fastest route to your doctor's office. You know where your friends live. You know your favorite coffee shop. You know your church. You know your community. Now imagine leaving all of that behind. Not just the house. The entire life you've built around it. For many retirees, moving means losing daily routines that have taken decades to create. And that's a scary thought. Researchers studying aging repeatedly find that social connections, community involvement, and familiar environments contribute significantly to well-being and life satisfaction in retirement. Staying connected to a community often matters just as much as financial considerations. This is where many younger people misunderstand retirees. They assume retirees are attached to the house. Often they're attached to the life that exists around the house. And that's a completely different thing. Because once you move away from your community, rebuilding those connections can be difficult, especially later in life. Now here's where the story gets even more interesting. Some retirees actually do downsize. And at first, everything seems great. The new place is smaller. The bills are lower. Maintenance is easier. Life feels simpler. Then the holidays arrive. The kids visit. The grandkids come over. Family gatherings happen. And suddenly something feels different. The extra bedroom is gone. The large dining room is gone. The backyard is gone. The house that once brought everyone together no longer has the same space. And some retirees begin asking themselves a painful question. Did I save money but lose something more important? That's the question many people never consider before making the move. And in the next part, we're going to uncover an even bigger reason retirees refuse to downsize. A reason so powerful that millions of retirees knowingly accept higher housing costs just to avoid it. And once you hear it, you'll understand why this decision is about far more than money. Now let's talk about the reason many retirees never mention out loud. Regret. Not the regret of staying, the regret of leaving. And for many people, that fear is stronger than any financial benefit a smaller home could provide. Imagine spending 30 or 40 years building a life in one place. You know every room, every neighbor, every shortcut through the neighborhood, every little thing that makes the place feel like home. Then one day you decide to move. The first few weeks feel exciting. Everything is new. The house is easier to clean. The bills are smaller. Maintenance is lower. Friends congratulate you for making a smart financial decision. It feels like a success. But then reality slowly begins to appear. The grandkids come to visit. There isn't enough room. The family gathers for Thanksgiving. The dining room feels crowded. Friends stay overnight. There's nowhere for them to sleep. The hobbies you once enjoyed suddenly become difficult because you no longer have the extra space. And that's when some retirees begin asking themselves a painful question. Did I save money, but lose part of my lifestyle? This is where most financial advice completely falls apart. Because money is only one part of retirement. Freedom matters. Comfort matters. Family matters. Quality of life matters. And these things are very difficult to measure on a spreadsheet. But wait, because the next reason may be the most powerful of all. For many retirees, the family home represents something much deeper than memories. It represents independence. Think about that for a moment. As people age, many things start changing. Health changes, energy changes, mobility changes, daily routines change. The home becomes one of the few things that still feels stable. It's familiar. It's predictable. It's safe. Researchers consistently find that most older adults prefer aging in place rather than moving somewhere new. Many seniors feel more comfortable. Now let's talk about something that almost nobody thinks about until it's too late. Health. Most retirees make housing decisions based on how they feel today, not how they may feel 10 or 15 years from now. And that's completely understandable. If you're healthy at 65, it's hard to imagine needing help at 75 or 80. But retirement can last 30 years or more, and a lot can change during that time. This is where the downsizing conversation becomes much more complicated because sometimes staying in the family home protects your happiness, but other times it quietly creates future problems. Think about a large two-story house. Today the stairs may seem easy. The yard may seem manageable. The maintenance may feel routine. But what happens if mobility changes? What happens if carrying laundry upstairs becomes difficult? What happens if driving becomes harder? What happens if a fall changes everything overnight? Many retirement experts warn that people often delay important housing decisions until a crisis forces them to act. And when decisions are made during a crisis, options become limited. The move becomes stressful. The choices become rushed. And the emotional burden becomes much heavier. That's why some retirees choose to downsize early, not because they need to, but because they want control over the decision. They would rather move while they are healthy, energetic, and able to choose where they go instead of waiting until circumstances make the decision for them. Research on aging in place shows that many older adults want to remain independent and stay in familiar surroundings, but future health and accessibility needs often become major factors in housing decisions. Now let's look at one of the biggest myths about downsizing. The myth is simple. Downsizing always saves money. But reality is far more complicated. In some markets, retirees discover that smaller homes are surprisingly expensive. Higher property taxes, HOA fees, insurance costs, moving expenses, renovation costs, closing fees, unexpected repairs. Suddenly the financial benefit becomes much smaller than expected. Some retirees even discover that moving would barely improve their monthly budget at all. Recent housing reports show that many retirees either downsize very little or choose not to downsize at all because the costs and stress often outweigh the expected savings. This is why smart retirees don't ask, "How much money can I make from selling my house?" They ask, "What will my total lifestyle cost after I move?" That's a much better question, and it's often the difference between a successful move and a disappointing one. Now here's something most people never talk about. Loneliness. A large house may cost more money, but isolation can cost something even more valuable. Research consistently shows that social connections, community involvement, and maintaining meaningful relationships play a huge role in retirement happiness and well-being. If downsizing moves you away from friends, neighbors, family members, or community activities, the emotional cost can be significant. That's why some retirees willingly spend more money to stay close to the people they care about. And honestly, that's not necessarily a bad financial decision because retirement isn't just about maximizing wealth. It's about maximizing quality of life. And quality of life is difficult to put into a spreadsheet. So where does all of this leave us? Should retirees downsize? Or should they stay exactly where they are? The truth is, there is no universal answer. And anyone who tells you otherwise is oversimplifying one of the most important decisions of retirement. Some retirees absolutely should downsize. Others absolutely should not. The right answer depends on finances, health, family, lifestyle, community, and personal happiness. The smartest retirees don't blindly follow trends. They don't move because their friends moved. They don't stay because they're afraid of change. They carefully evaluate their future and make a decision based on what creates the best life, not just the biggest bank account. And that brings us to the most important question of all. If downsizing could save you thousands of dollars every year, but it meant leaving behind decades of memories, familiar routines, and the community you love, would you do it? Or would you stay right where you are? Let me know your answer in the comments below. I read every comment and I'd genuinely love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more retirement insights, money lessons, and real-life retirement decisions that affect millions of people every day. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourself and your family, and I'll see you in the next video.